Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement and a very special Mandalorian Season 3 premiere edition of My Mom's Basement. It is Robbie Fox, my co-host Clem, and that's not it, Clem. I've got one other guest. It's
Oh,
Grogu.
there he
He's back in
is.
our lives. Come on. He's back in our lives, Clem. Life is good right now. The Mandalorian's back. We've got Pedro Pascal leading two children through the apocalypse, as we've mentioned. The Last of Us, The Mandalorian. We've got Disney next week. It's a great time to be us. It's a great time to be nerds.
Pedro Pascal month is getting churning now. We're in part 2, and some would say the biggest part. We're getting the premiere of Mandalorian, and the kids were up in the Casa Clem. They've been waking up at 5:30 the last few days, which is awesome. Just an absolute blast. AJ said, Dad, I want to change my pajamas. And just by pure coincidence, he threw on his favorite PJs, which are his little silk feeling baby Yoda pajamas. And I said, we're going to watch some Mando. They didn't even know it was coming out today. They got their baby Yoda. Our baby Yoda doesn't have the peach fuzz on top, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see Bob has your guy has his little Yoda hairs on there. You know what I mean?
That's what you pay $430 for.
I think I got mine at Costco for $35. It was on sale. So pretty funny how that works out. By the way, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get that one early in it. We're going to have Mando only on YouTube, or if you're listening on podcast, we're throwing Mando and The Last of Us together. Pedro Pascal packages coming for the rest of March, it sounds like. So yeah, man, who got it better than us right now? We're back in Mando world. And before we get into the episode, this kind of just threw me on a random question. If you're Pedro Pascal, I guess it depends on the character you are. Okay, would you rather be Joel leading Ellie through the Last of Us universe, or Mando leading Baby Yo through the Star Wars galaxy?
Like, in terms of if you're legitimately those characters?
Yeah, what do you think's an easier way to go about it?
I think Star Wars. I think Star Wars is a better life in general. You're going planet to planet. I mean, in this episode, we'll get into it. He basically got offered a retirement plan, and he was like, nah, you know what? I got some more work to do. So I think getting to do the hyperspace, getting to do the N1 starfighter, dogfights, and all that. I think Mando's a better life, even if it is possibly more dangerous. I don't know. I would assume they're around the same danger levels.
That was my next question. So what do you think is the danger levels in general? I think you're probably about right, where there's obviously a lot more living creatures in the Star Wars universe that can just kill you, even though the post-apocalyptic world has a couple of big bads just lurking around every corner. Well, actually, in the HBO version of The Last of Us, I've seen 7 infected the entire time. Spoiler alert, other than one episode. So yeah, I think you're right. Star Wars may be the answer in terms of big baddies, but we're ready to rock, baby. We're back. Ba-bum.
Bum bum. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I need to hear that theme. I rewatched the entire series leading up to the season 3 premiere. I was like, I bet I got time to do the whole series, the 2 Book of Boba Fett episodes. I didn't have time to do the Book of Boba Fett episodes, but I watched season 1, season 2, right into the premiere at 3 in the morning. And I got to admit, I haven't admitted this yet. I had the screeners for episodes 1 and 2 in my email at midnight Eastern Standard Time. But I've stated this before. I appreciate Disney for, giving us that, giving us the access to that. I'm a man of the people. I wait for the people to watch. I watch with the people. I waited till 3 in the morning to watch episode 1. I'll be waiting until next week to watch episode 2. Ken Jack, not as strong as me. He watched episode 1 and 2. He told me that episode 2 was 10 times better than episode 1. And I was shocked by that because I fucking loved episode 1, Clem. It was just a solid ass episode of this TV show. It wasn't a mind blowing cameo, this guy, reference, Easter egg. It was more Andor like in that it just reminded you, if you give us good Star Wars, start to finish, a fastball down the middle, it always works. You give us a little Grogu, give us a little Mando, you give us the comedy aspect, you give us the dogfights in space. We got even a creature battle in the beginning. This was, in my opinion, like the perfect premiere episode.
Yeah, 36 minutes long, which I was like, damn, how are we going to fit all that in? How are we going to fit a full episode? And I thought it was going to be very much like, this is just a recap where everyone is, and maybe we end it with a cliffhanger or maybe a little action sequence. Nope, we got a bunch of shit. And the other thing is 2 things here. One, Jon Favreau yesterday just like came out and announced that the timeline for this show is completely different than I think 99% of the viewers. He said this has been taking place over years and years, all this stuff from Mando season 1 to where we are today. Grogu was with Luke for 2 years. Did I read that right?
Yeah. He said about 2 years, which I was surprised by. I think all of us were. Now, I thought about it. I put some thought into it. I got to admit, I don't think it's like the least plausible thing. When I think about it, I'm like, all right, and I do the headcanon thing for Star Wars, the same thing I do for Luke on Dagobah and how long it took them to get to Bespin without the hyperdrive. You got to think, in my opinion, all time and planets work differently in Star Wars, almost like Interstellar, where you could go to one planet, miss 40 years, go to another planet, it's 2 hours or whatever like that. I don't think it's that extreme in Star Wars. It's never been established in Star Wars that this is how it works. But in my head, that's how it works. I'm like, maybe it was 6 months for Mando. Maybe it was 2 years for Grogu.
That's fine. It's like, it does, I think, how long the first 2 Mando seasons were. It would then explain like why they do have this like tight relationship. He didn't just save his life and kind of take him out of mothballs and save him from assassination, but years and years of like kinship and whatever. So that was the one thing. And then the other thing was the fact that you have to watch the Book of Boba Fett to know, like, if you turn this on and you just like, I'm going to just skip a Book of Boba Fett. I heard the reviews weren't that good. I heard it's just basically a giant flashback to tank season. You don't know what the fuck's going on. You don't know that Baby O is back. Fucking Mando has the Darksaber. It's just like, what the fuck? I thought that was a little crazy, but they did they cover it kind of with the previously on?
See, they didn't. And I thought that was surprising. There was no mention or no showing of anything that happened in Book of Boba Fett on the previously on. I almost thought they would say like previously in the Star Wars universe, something like that. And then you show us the Book of Boba Fett stuff. Now, when it comes to, and I've seen the complaint a lot, what if people didn't watch Book of Boba Fett? I think that's a non-complaint. I think anyone watching The Mandalorian heard about the Mandalorian episodes in the Book of Boba Fett and at least watched those. I truly do. And if they didn't, you have Disney Plus. If you're watching the Mandalorian, go back and watch them. They're right there. They're available for you to watch. I was surprised they didn't do it on the previously on, but at the same time, I don't think it's an issue at all.
Previously on the Book of Boba Fett, you could have just thrown like the little title card in there, and then they give you the 2-minute fucking fast recap of, let's be honest, the best parts of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
For anyone that hasn't watched, look it up. Just watch those parts of the Book of Boba Fett. You really don't have to. In fact, your like memory of Boba Fett will be a lot better if you just watch the Mandalorian parts of the book.
It's just 2 episodes, I think, and maybe like Mando and Grogu reunite in the finale, but he's not even in the full finale. It's just, I think him learning how to use the Darksaber, slicing himself up, and then you get the Grogu, Luke, Ahsoka episode, which is fucking incredible. Like some of the best Star Wars you could.
Even when I'm writing a blog, I will give you like, hey guys, in case you don't know, like the inner workings of this random barstool drama, here's a recap. You guys think you can kind of figure that out, how these guys who they left apart are now back together, and he's going to have the Darksaber, which is going to weigh heavily on like that entire going back to Mandalore scenario. I thought it was weird. I figured it was on the previously on, and I just didn't see it. But my guy Bob, he has Disney Plus on fucking lockdown, and he told me. So all in all, kind of weird, but I'm happy we're back. Happy we're recapping. Have our takes lined up and ready to rock.
So let's get into the episode. This was directed by Rick Famuida. I hope I said his last name right because he deserves the respect of that. He directed Chapter 2 with the Mudhorn in Season 1, Chapter 6 with Bill Burr and the gang, the first Bill Burr episode.
Oh, that was great.
Chapter 15, the next Bill Burr episode, where Mando takes his helmet off for Grogu. Bill Burr shoots the guy that killed Batman's parents. Incredible episode. And then he did the premiere of Season 3, and he's doing the final 2 episodes of this season as well. So I feel like that shows they put a lot of faith in him, and for good reason. All of his episodes are home runs.
Those are the things that those fun facts I never know beforehand, the director, the writers, all that stuff. And that's what Bob Fox is the best in the fucking game of covering this stuff.
So it begins with the armor. She's forging some new armor in the Goblet of Fire. I wrote she pours in a little thing. It looks like the Harry Potter Goblet of Fire thing.
That was cool as shit. That was a
very cool.
Goblet. of fire.
What she started forging looked like a giant ass pizza cutter. If you look back, like at the very beginning, I almost looked like the staff from Indiana Jones she was gonna make or something. But it looked like a pizza cutter. It wound up being a helmet, a new helmet. She airbrushes it and everything. It's for a kid. And I was thinking in my head, is this a flashback? Are we seeing like Mando coming into the tribe? Is this modern day? We learned very quickly that it is modern day when this crocodile, lizard, dinosaur, turtle thing comes out of the water and they all attack it. They have a lot of trouble with it until our guy Mando comes in on his N1 starfighter and he takes it down pretty quick. One big blow to it. We see like guts and blood flying everywhere. And our guy Mando is back.
I appreciated, first of all, that they showed the blood and guts, because so many times you see these creatures die and they kind of just keel over and there's a hole in their body that you don't see. My kids, again, this is the first scene. I'm like, oh boy, this might have been a problem. AJ goes, why is there sausage flying all over the screen? I'm like, it kind of is. Like, I guess it's like lizard sausage. It's space lizard sausage. It's fucking charred up as motherfucker. Our guy Mando kind of just let you know, this Naboo starfighter, this shit don't fuck around. This shit can blow stuff up. And then little baby Yo just popping out at the end. He has his little canister, which I absolutely love. And I'm so happy you said that about the baptism, because I feel like they did this on purpose. They made the kid kind of look like a young Pedro Pascal might have looked. So I'm like, oh, this is, and even the helmet is like the same kind of vibes of the colors. So that was clearly done on purpose. It has to be. I'm going to ask, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to butcher it now, but I'll ask the writer if he ever,
Rick, call him Rick.
Call him Rick.
We're on a first name basis with
Ricky. Ricky, buddy, come on. This was done on purpose. Like, that is some genius shit. That's why we're big fans of Rick. We're the number one Rick fan podcast in the Star Wars universe, right?
We're like Homer Simpson with the season flag, or just Rick.
Rick, yeah, exactly. And you know my favorite part of that monster fight was those motherfuckers are shooting lasers at it. The dude who just takes the flamethrower and just hopes maybe this is going to get the guy. I love that these idiot Mandalorians.
I'm doing it, guys. I got him. I'm heating them up.
And you know what the fucked up thing is? I guarantee when the Mandalorians have their birthday parties, because in my head they do have birthday parties, and they have the birthday cake, they're always like patting their pockets looking for a lighter, and they always forget that they have one that they use all the time in fights, and it never fucking works the way they think it's gonna work and gonna, take down the enemy. They always are just like, shit, we don't have a lighter. It's like, dude, you have them right in your fucking arm. So yeah, then it was like, oh shit, that's right, these guys can fly. So I'm thinking, by flying, we're gonna take down this. It's almost like a dinosaur, an alligator. Yeah. I don't know what to call it. I'm sure Wikipedia has like a full-blown, like 7-paragraph background as of this morning about this fucking creature. But yeah, it was that was a cool scene. And I'm like, oh shit, welcome back to the fucking show. We're back in the Mandalorian world now.
Big time. And I'm going to bring up maybe the nerdiest thing I could possibly bring up, inner Star Wars thing here. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing the picture of the actual helmet that was put on the kid. If you look at the lens of that helmet where the child would be able to look out of, it's actually a bit wider than it normally is on a Mandalorian. And that struck something in my brain right away. It struck something because I said, that looks familiar. Clem, this is what kids' toys look like when they make Mandalorian toys, because they want kids to actually be able to look out of the helmet. Obviously, it's hard to look out of. So I'm thinking, is this an actual effort to make the Mandalorian helmets look more like the toys, so the kids are more likely to buy the toys, and then you have the helmet that looks like it's from the show? Or is it just a coincidence? Maybe there's an in-universe thing. When you're a kid, you get a wider lens, and then it gets, skinnier as you get. I don't know. But, with me, something just went off in my brain.
This is a good question. What company owns the Star Wars brand?
I believe it's Walt Disney, small company like that. Yeah.
Do they try to make money on every fucking thing that they possibly can and try to squeeze every penny out of you? Yeah, they do. The mouse, that is 100%. Mickey Mouse came in and he's like, listen, guys, I don't give a fuck about any of the stuff that happens with Baby Yoda or the Mandalorian. All I want is toys that kids will buy, and we can sell it for $59.99 in the gift shop. I can't believe I'm still talking like Mickey Mouse on the podcast right now. I apologize to everyone listening and watching on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. But I swear to God, if you guys get us enough, I will never use this voice again if you get us high enough in the YouTube algorithm. But tell me, Bob, you fucking nailed it. That is exactly what they're doing. Because listen, kids are fucking so, like, I remember when I was a kid, and now I see it in my kids. If there's something in a toy and they're like, well, Mario doesn't wear his hat like that. His hat doesn't look like that in the game. They won't buy it. They don't want to fuck with it. And if you have these thin eye like eyelets, and they're just bumping into walls because they can't see shit, no one's gonna want to be Mando or Boba Fett. So that is actually a good call by your boy Bob Fox, the best in the goddamn game to do it. Speaking of Boba, I thought he was in that little baptism scene as well. Like I was like, is that like a young Boba here? And I was completely thrown off. So fucking Rick is so good at writing. He's the best writer in the world. Give this guy a Star Wars trilogy.
Got to tell you, I'm ready to give you a Mickey Mouse trilogy after hearing how good that impression was. That was shockingly good. I've never heard you pull that one out of the bag.
Want to hear something? I've never done a Mickey Mouse impression in my entire life.
It was really good.
That was the first one. I mean, I'm going to Disney twice in a month, basically, starting today. And I've never pulled out the Mickey Mouse. So good to know when the kids get home, I'm going to throw some Mickey at them. Clean, eat your vegetables or else you're not going to come visit me.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can't wait for Disney. We just got our magic bands. I got my Grogu band. Oh my God, it's gonna be so good.
We're also that's gonna be episode 2 of Mandalorian. We'll premiere that morning. So we're gonna, Jeff D. Lowe is already setting up a watch party with us in Portnoy, and we
texted about it last night. Me and Jeff. We were like, "How are we gonna do this?" And I was like, "We got to wake up early. Like we got to tell Dave whether it's 5 a.m., whether it's 6 a.m." We're waking up, we're sitting on the couch together in our matching t-shirts, and we're watching The Mandalorian together.
Dave's wake-up habits are very interesting to me because there's like entrepreneurial, newspaper elbow people in the subway station to move Barstool Sports newspapers, Dave. But then there's also rich, lives in Florida, mogul Dave. And I don't think those two guys wake up at the same time. But he's also going to be excited and for Star Wars Land as well as The Mandalorian. So we have a full watch party, and we got to get some takes from Dave. We'll throw him on the podcast. We'll put it in that's how we get we throw Baby Yoda in there.
For this guy? You don't think he'd wake up for this guy, Baby Yo? Come on.
Those big black eyes. He'll do anything for them.
Nobody loves Grogu more than, I was going to say Dave, but maybe The Mandalorian loves him more because, God, The Mandalorian loves that little guy, and I love their relationship.
And when they say, like, you got to go back to Mandalore, and Baby Yo is just cute, so cute people just can't say, no, that little guy. He's just like, he cooing. I saw cooing in the closed captions. I'm like, oh, you're throwing that little word out there.
And you know what I realized recently? Someone hit me up on Twitter DM. I forget their name, but they said, huge fan of the podcast. Just getting into Star Wars, though, and I want to go back and rewatch some of your Mandalorian recaps. Can I rewatch them anywhere? This is the first Mandalorian recap we've ever done on YouTube. How about that? It's been so long since the last season that our YouTube channel launched since then.
Holy shit. 34,000 subscribers later, here we are. Yeah. Time isn't real. That's what I'm slowly learning. So, like, there you go.
It works differently. It's the headcanon.
Yes, it definitely works. John Favreau can say whatever he wants, and I'm going to have to believe it out because time is no longer real.
Now we get some reestablishing stuff with the armor and Mando. It's all the same stuff they talked about in Book of Boba Fett, essentially about how he took the helmet off. He's no longer part of the Creed. She doesn't even really thank him for saving the fucking day after that whole attack. And he says, I actually have a piece of Mandalore that was taken by a traveler. It has an inscription on it, and maybe it's proof that it's not a poisoned planet. Maybe it's proof that we could go there. The piece kind of looks like kryptonite. Did you notice that? It's got that green, amber glow. Cool scene, but all stuff, if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, you kind of know. And the armor, this has nothing to do with her gender. She's a bitch.
Yeah, armorer. It's hard to say that name.
I know, with the ERs at the end.
Yeah,
she's so stuck up in her ways. Again, not thanking the Mandalorian and just kind of having that cold shoulder to him. Still, come on.
She's kind of cunty. Oh, sorry, I have a cough here right now.
You got to check that out. You got to go to a doctor.
I got my water. I'll drink my water.
They go into hyperspace, and Grogu sees some hyperspace whales, which we see in the Star Wars cartoon, Star Wars Rebels, which might sound crazy to some people that have only watched the live action stuff, hyperspace whales, but they actually are a decent part of Rebels. And I think this is almost a tease to that Filoni side that we're going to see more in Ahsoka. You know, that weird kind of Rebels, maybe world between worlds time travel stuff.
When I saw those shadows and Baby Yo looking at them, like, all right, this is something. And I'm thinking, is this another ship? Is this some sort of a wavelength they're traveling in about hyperspace? And then when I went online, I went to my guy Heavy Spoilers recap, and he was talking about hyperspace whales. I did the Darth Vader double take. Like what? What? This is and like in the cartoon, they're just like literal fucking flying whales, and I guess they can travel via hyperspace. And they look. Listen, I know there's like diehard cartoon fans, and maybe if you watch the episode, it's not the case. They look kind of goofy, and doing that in real life is going to be tough. They pulled off. I think this is a Boba Fett spoiler. They pulled off Cad Bane, right?
Yeah.
They pulled off Cad Bane very well in real life. I'll be interested to see how they pull off hyperspace whales.
Maybe they don't even pull them up. Maybe that's just their tease. Maybe they're just like they're in the shadows because they look fine in the shadows. You know, it wasn't like goofy there. It was just
like,
a
nod.
That?
Just a nod.
Exactly.
Right?
Maybe it was just that. Yeah, I could see that.
By the way, we all love the scene when Dory speaks whale in Finding Nemo, right? I think that's one of the funniest.
By the way, I have sources in the industry, in the film industry that live in Hollywood that have confirmed to me James Cameron totally ripped off the whales in Avatar 2 from Star Wars Rebels. Absolute rip off. No originality in that guy.
We're gonna have to make a video. Scandal. We'll do the YouTube thumbnail and everything. James Cameron ripped off whales from Star Wars hyperspace.
So they pull into Navarro. Navarro looks amazing. Compare it to season 1, even season 2. It looks tremendous. They've got an IG-11 statue in the town square. The High Magistrate. He makes sure to correct everyone that calls him just the Magistrate. He goes, "I'm the High Magistrate." Greef Karga comes out to greet his old friend Mando. That
voice was booming, Bob.
Oh, it was booming. Carl Weathers is back to direct a couple episodes this season as well, which I'm excited about because this episode was really good as well. Karga wants to set Mando up to retire, as I mentioned earlier, and Mando's like, "Come on, dude. I've got a kid now. I've got a mission. I got to do the whole helmet thing, Mandalore." And I love the line where he's like, his name's Grogu, and Greef Karga's like, "Yeah, all right, whatever, if you say so." I feel like that's like half the fan base.
That is this half of the podcast right here. I am going to take that video and I'm going to tweet it and say, "This is me every time I talk to Star Wars nerds and call him Baby Yo." Because that motherfucker is two names, either Baby Yo or Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him. You know why? Because that's what I call him, and that's what my kids call him. The next generation, they are the ones who are going to make Baby Yo's legacy, and Grogu is the furthest thing from their fucking lexicon.
I got to tell you, I'm going to try to bring back Goo this season.
Little G-Man?
Little Goo, yeah. I like Little Goo.
We had the shirts made by our boy Trig where he kind of made it look like a Jersey Shore like paint, remember? And we're like, do we sell these? And this would be the craziest shirt to get cease and desisted over and sued by Mickey Mouse. You take those fucking shirts down now, motherfuckers! I don't care how many pizzas Dave Portnoy eats and how much he loves Star Wars. Guys, I'm gonna keep doing it until we hit 35,000. So we better.
I like vulgar Mickey. You might have to keep doing it. I'm gonna bust your fucking kneecaps, Mickey.
That's like the Mickey from South Park, and like that might honestly be the end of our show. Is when Disney finds out we're doing vulgar Mickey impersonations. That will be the thing that they find out. Like, yeah, we're gonna just like find a way to sue you guys and get you copyrighted off of fucking YouTube.
No, I was gonna say we're gonna go to Disney next week, and in our tour guide, they're gonna be like, "Come down this hallway," and they're gonna whack us. And nobody's ever going to hear from us again. The YouTube channel will just be gone, and everyone will be like, "What happened to those guys?"
Yeah, this is the best part of the VIP tour you guys are going on right now. Like, sit back, relax. We're gonna show you Kevin Feige's whiteboard. That's how they're gonna get us in the room. Oh, okay. Wow! And
us showing our passes like Wayne and Garth and Wayne's World. Like, we're allowed in here. Here we go.
They open the door and it's the fucking room from Goodfellas when Joe Pesci gets whacked. That's gonna be how it all ends. Just because of a couple of bad Mickey Mouse impersonations.
So a droid alerts Greef Karga of some pirates in the courtyard. He says it's Gory and Shard's gang. Great Star Wars name, that Gory and Shard. And it's Vane and the gang. They want to drink in the old saloon, which we remember from season 1. That's now been turned into a school, which we also remember from season 2. That's where Baby Yo was eating the little macaroons, the little blue macaroons. How absurd is this? Just place this in real life. Picture a building is turned into a school that used to be a bar or saloon. And then a bunch of drunkards show up to the elementary class and they're like, "We're trying to fucking get our drink on, trying to wet the beak. Let us in." How absurd is that?
So, two things. One, nothing hurts more than like an old beloved spot you used to frequent with your buddies to then see it become like a fucking Bank of America. You're just like, come on, man. So I understand that side of things. However, And I also understand like pirates are kind of, they're a rough gang to be around. They're a little, tough. However, I thought he was like, oh, well, it's cool. No wonder why he wasn't letting me in. I thought at this point, the pirate had finally understood. It's not like the pirate's like, dude, you don't understand. Like, we used to come here every night for 10 fucking years of our life. He's like, I had a couple of drinks here, just being a goddamn dick, trying to throw these pirate nuts around. And shout out to my guy, fucking Carl Weathers, for fucking throwing his even bigger dick down and being like, get the fuck out of here, shoo boys. You guys can come to my like executive suite, my high magistrate. I was hoping that was going to be a running joke. It was going to be, I'm thinking like an Arrested Development thing, because the droid calls him high magistrate or magistrate. He corrects him with high magistrate. Mando calls him magistrate. He doesn't correct Mando. Do we have a little, I hate to say it, but like discrimination?
I thought he did correct him. I thought he corrected 2 people.
Did he correct Mando? I didn't hear him correct
Mando.
Mando.
He did. Maybe he didn't.
But again, Carl Weathers in Arrested Development with the stew. You got yourself a stew. One of my favorite lines of all time and one of my favorite shows. So I do understand where these pirates are coming from, but come on, man. Like after like the second time, you just have to go. Like I love.
You want to sit in the back of fucking social studies, yeah, and drink a whiskey. Like what are you thinking? Crazy. Like, and the Carl Weathers thing. I hope the high magistrate thing becomes like a thing later on in the season. We see him like putting a bong down and he's like, I'm the high magistrate. I'm high.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like he had it like on the bottom of the bong. It said high magistrate. I like that. And like, dude, if you demand to drink in a school, even in like Star Wars Galaxy, which is like as lawless as it gets, I'm like, they're like, you're going to jail, dude. Even if you're like a pirate, we're still going to throw you in cuffs and you could have your fucking, boss come and get you from fucking jail. Weirdo.
Yeah.
Oh, also, by the way, high magistrate, this actually checks out with your theory, Bob, or your little headcanon thing. Him having all red Skittles on his desk.
Yeah.
That is like, it's like a band, right? Where they have, no, I'm going the opposite.
Oh,
it's like
really?
When you have a rider and you're like, have all the, only the brown M&Ms or have the orange ones picked. I don't remember like the story, but if you could have like one of just one color candy, like that's a pretty baller move. Like the magistrate doesn't get that treatment. The high magistrate gets only one flavor. Like if you could have one flavor of a candy, what would you choose? Or like one color of a certain kind of candy. What would Bob Fox, high magistrate of Barstool Sports have?
It's actually really easy for me. It'd be banana Laffy Taffy. Oh no, Clem has gotten up. He put his headphones down. He walked away from the podcast. What the fuck? You don't like banana Laffy Taffy? You don't like banana Laffy Taffy?
Listen, for the people
jokes on it too.
For the people that didn't watch The Last of Us recap of the last episode, we had a falling out on this podcast, one of many as it turns out, because I don't like Legos, which I then remind Bob that he hates peanut butter, which I love. Bob loves Legos. I love peanut butter. We both hate the other thing that other person loves. Banana Laffy Taffy is like one of the only reasons I didn't draft Laffy Taffy in the fruit candy draft on the dog walk. Because this is the thing, though. I'm not a banana fan, so I just don't like bananas. I just don't like the flavor of bananas. I don't think that's a very weird thing. I like other fruits. I just do not like bananas. You can't eat fruit. I'm
allergic to all fruit, yeah.
So
but the artificial flavor of banana, I think, is better than... I have 2 flavors in my head where I go, the artificial flavor is a lot better than the real thing. Banana and cotton candy. I think the artificial cotton candy flavoring is a lot better than the actual sticky cotton candy. The consistency I don't like.
I like watermelon more.
Banana Laffy Taffy. Well, you know what, though? Now that I'm thinking about it, we have Laffy Taffy in the office, which is an absurd thing to say. That's something that's bought for the Barstool Sports kitchen. Bananas always left over, and I'm always thrilled. I'm like, look, I got so many bananas. Maybe people don't like banana Laffy Taffy.
I hate to tell you, Bob, because even when we were bringing up like on that fruit candy draft, we were bringing up honorable mentions, and I said, Runts is another candy, and has banana.
Bananas are the best.
And I just throw the bananas right out, and they were like, "Yep, that's right." Like again, you're coming from a place where you don't eat fruit. Granted, you do know the artificial flavor of it. So the fact you said banana Laffy,
maybe my taste buds are all fucked up because of that. Like my fruit things are like all messed up.
We got to just fix you. We got to like kind of have align your taste buds like a chiropractor aligns it back, and you'll be like, peanut butter is delicious. What have I been missing this whole time? And you'd have to
like Mando aligns IG-11. Eh?
There you go. There you go. For the record, I would choose pink Starburst. That would be my one.
All right.
flavor.
That's a good one. I can't argue that one. I like red better than pink, but they're pretty close in my book.
They're pretty close, yeah. That's the S tier of Starburst for sure.
Definitely. So Karga, as we mentioned, tries to defuse the situation, winds up shooting a gun out of the guy's hand, gets a little more violent. Karga and Mando have to take all of them out. And then Karga asks Mando to be his marshal. And we get what happened to Cara Dune? And they're like, after she brought in Moff Gideon, she was recruited by special forces. And that's all they say about it. I assume that's all they'll ever say about it. I think she's been written off the show.
I actually appreciated that they did that. Oh, I don't have it here anymore. I had it pulled up. I had the Gina Carano lip biting gif lined up, and this was going to be our lasting memory of her, but I can't find it on my phone.
She went off to her home planet, like the Simpsons thing that heavy spoilers
Poochie,
mentioned.
Yeah, Poochie. They Poochied her ass for sure. I think we said at the time, like, she was a fine character, but it's over. Like, I'm not going to lose any sleep about her not being there. I wonder how much they had to write around all this. The biggest thing was how he shot the trigger finger of the guy when he pulled the gun. So he's not shooting the guy or shooting him in the kneecap. He shot the trigger finger, which shows our boy fucking Carl Weathers has a shot. Which shout out to it was him, right? He got he's the one who shot the finger out. So I love that. The other takeaway I had, talking about gonna take it to the Pirate King. Pirate King might be the sweetest title I've ever heard in my life. That is why
Barstool's got one.
That's true. Get you some pirate water, and then you got the Pirate King leading the way. Just an all-time great name.
I also wanted to mention Grief Karga has 2 tiny droids carrying his cape everywhere he goes, and he is just dripped out in this new High Magistrate outfit. Everything about his new outfit I love. His gray beard and everything. Carl Weathers, one of the swaggiest dudes to ever live.
I have to go back to like the first season to Navarro, which my only beef is every time I hear Navarro, I think of Dave Navarro.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of a mindfucker, which it just had a very different. It's a Star Warsy name, but it's a name that also exists. I wish it had a different name. I just got to see what it looks like the before and after. I feel like it's nowhere. Beginning of Guardians to nowhere, Infinity War to nowhere now. There's a big time change.
We hear that Moff Gideon was sent off to a New Republic War Tribunal. I don't really know what the fuck that means, but I assume he's going to break out pretty soon. And Karga calls the New Republic a far-off bureaucracy. Is this some kind of tease, almost like the prequels teased the Jedi being corrupt? They're teasing the sequels, the New Empire, the New Republic, rather. They're not the best either, and that led to their fall in The Force Awakens when they all got taken out in one quick swoop.
Yep, I think there's many things The Mandalorian is designed to do, and one of them will be to fix up the sequel trilogy through like little plots and little
Band-Aid on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The entire Snoke reveal, that's going to be like 6 seasons worth of Star Wars shit that they're going to do, but it'll somehow end up all being fine because we trust the Filoni and we trust the Favreau.
And Dr. Pershing is back this season, Ken Jack himself. So we may get some cloning stuff this season. Who knows? Mando asks for IG-11 back. He looks at the statue and he's like, some of those are his original parts, right? Like, can we actually get him back? He doesn't trust any other droids, and he needs a droid to help him look over Mandalore. Now, we know from the trailers that he will be acquainted with R5D4 at some point this season. So I wonder if that will wind up being his droid to explore Mandalore. I'm excited that R5 is finally getting some shine, some nice deserved shine after 40 years.
That's one of the most absurd things, that R5 is going to be playing a role. And for the people that don't know, it's the droid from Star Wars that kind of blows a gasket before R2D2, gets taken by Luke. And he's,
Red R2D2.
This one's broken here. He says such a little whiny voice in that one, fucking Mark Hamill. Which, again, I love him, but it is one of those things that always like makes my makes the hair on the back of my neck go up. So that's a good call. And again, going from a statue, they just pull the fucking statue off and they throw it on the operating table. What a move. Best, if you could have a statue built for one Star Wars character that's not like an A, a B, or even like a C tier character, right? Who would you choose?
Like, you're saying like a low tier character then?
A lower tier, yeah, because like Lando, you can't say Lando because he's fucking legit, or you can't say Han or Luke or whatever because they probably have statues of them built in certain regions. What's a guy like an IG-11 or lower stature character?
I'll go with, because I just rewatched the entire series and these 2 episodes stuck out as 2 of my favorites to rewatch. Miggs Mayfeld, Bill Burr, Billy Blastus, Billy Bounty Hunter. I think he's an amazing character. I hope to see him back. He was at the season 3 premiere in LA last night, so I'm hoping that means he'll appear again in season 3. I mean, he's such a fan favorite character. Why would you not bring him back?
That's a fair point. I'm going either Tubes from Andor, just because
Tubes.
And Tubes is like, I'm talking like it's in like his high school gym. They're like, Tubes ends up getting a job at this place, and he's kind of a big deal. Or I got to go with my guy Lobot, because like maybe Bespin, like the Battle of Bespin or something like that. They not only, I think Lando clearly has the statue in the middle of the town square, but somewhere maybe even on the statue of Lando, Lobot's there waking up with his little fucking thing around his head, his little device.
Not a surprising pick from you.
No.
If you're a longtime My Mom's Basement listener, you know Clem's love for Lobot. There he is, putting the headphones to the side of his head there on the YouTube. So they take the statue apart. They try to do some surgery on it. And basically an evil version of IG-11 wakes up, and he resorts back to his original programming, which was to terminate Grogu. He was the asset, right? I think that's what they called him in the first episode. And it's some horror movie shit. Like when he's half a body crawling at Mando and everything, I was like, oh my God, he's got the red eyes. Classic trope for a robot. As soon as they get the red eyes, you're like, all right, they're evil. And
I just remembered C-3PO from Last Skywalker. I just got juice chills.
The Last Skywalker.
I
didn't see that movie.
I mean, yeah, you did, Bob. You saw The Last Skywalker. You saw it. Those two movies combined are The Last Skywalker in my dumb brain.
And Mando shows off that he truly is a dad in this scene when the robot, the droid, has a great moment to shine, pushes over a bust of not Moff Gideon, of Grief Karga, lands on IG-11's head, and Mando makes a fucking dad joke. He goes, now that's using your head. Oh, I loved it. I loved it from our boy Din Djarin.
That was a dad joke, and it had like the campy Star Wars humor that we had growing up. I feel that was the kind of stuff that they had back in the day. And our boy IG-11, he's going down that Uncle Ben path. Like we're just gonna keep killing him, like Kenny from South Park. There's a few characters that are like this, and he is apparently is gonna be one. Poor fucking guy. And listen, this is actually like a pretty good point, because like these two guys, they're older dudes. If there was like a young like whippersnapper programmer, he'd be like, well, this thing was programmed to kill Grogu at one point. I said the G word, Baby Yo, at one point, right? And they'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, all right, we should probably like, I'll recircuit the wires and, you know, unplug the router, plug it back in, and everything should be fine. So I did like how they did that, even though it was definitely like just two old guys who don't know how fucking robots work. And when the robot is like locked in, when IG-11's locked in, like Mando passes Baby Yo off, and like he's still going at Baby Yo, and it's like when you have like your hands full and you're trying to figure out, like your brain's just not working. It's like, dude, what are you doing right now? What are you doing to get him killed? And it's just one of those moments of panic that you have. So shout out to our boy Grief Karga having a fucking bust made, and boom, just flattening him.
Did you see the clip of Pedro Pascal saying Baby Yoda accidentally for the first time?
No. Oh, that makes me so happy.
My God, it was incredible. You're going to have to check it out. I retweeted it last night. It was on the Graham Norton show, and Graham Norton was just like, oh, so Baby Yoda's this or that. And he's like, yeah, Baby Yoda. Oh my God. I said Baby Yoda. He goes, I have to go. And he just gets up and he like starts to like walk away. He's like, Disney's not going to be happy about that.
Pedro, you motherfucker. I told you never to say that word. You're fucking fired, motherfucker. I'm going to hire someone else to wear the helmet.
So we get to one of my favorite parts of the entire episode here. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes down as one of my favorite parts of season 3 when it's all said and done. Grief Karga says Navarro, luckily, has attracted the greatest droidsmiths in the Outer Rim. And I knew where this was going right away. He said, the Azelians, let's bring him down. And it's Babu Frick and company. We don't know if this is Babu Frick and his friends, Babu Frick and just more people of his species, co-workers, his family. Still don't know if this is the Fricks, but they have so many funny lines. Babu specifically, when they start to work on IG-11, he says, can't fix the broken, keep saying the broken. And Karga keeps translating. He's like, he says it's broken. Mando looks, he's like, yeah, I fucking got that. Thanks for that. And Grogu at the end. Oh, this cute little Grogu. He walks over and he hugs Babu Frick and he goes, no squeeze, bad baby, bad baby.
Bad baby, bad baby.
Oh my God. Babu Frick, what a home run character. What a home run voice. Whoever came up with that voice. He was one of the highlights of The Rise of Skywalker. I laughed every time he was on screen when he pops up at the end and he goes, hey, hey. Love that shit. I'm going to wind up buying some Babu Frick merch in Disney next week. I fucking know it. Loved the appearance here. Way to take a thing from the sequel trilogy, loop it into The Mandalorian, and have it be completely organic. It worked. We needed a droid smith. We know a droid smith. Oh, chef's kiss. Thank you, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni.
For the people watching on YouTube, you know Robbie's talking from his heart when he's using his hands to talk. That's Papa Della Bella style right there. He's got the pinch fingers and he's expressing himself with his hands because that is the dead giveaway for you, Bob. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw the Fricks, I was like, oh, Robbie is somewhere smiling right now. You were actually sleeping at that time. I watched it about 6 a.m. You already had watched it and giving your recap, I'm sure. So yeah, all time. Like,
as a non-Frick stan, did you like the Frick scene?
That was good. That was good because
Okay.
he didn't turn any droids to the dark side of the Force. So I like that a lot more.
I mean, he essentially said he couldn't do it. He's like,
Yeah.
no, you find part, I do it. Otherwise, no, they're broken.
And I'm telling you, this was another thing I'm going to do for the last time. Listen, you motherfuckers, you dropped the ball with that Frick in Rise of the Skywalker. I couldn't remember the name of the movie.
Close,
and
yeah.
We gotta sell 8,000 units a minute on those things because they are cute as fuck. And if you don't fix this in Mandalorian, you're all out of jobs. Because like they really need to like when we saw him in the trailer for Rise of Skywalker, we're like, this guy's gonna be an absolute home run. And while good, it like could have been. I guess it's because the movie just flopped, right? So it is
like
what
no
it is.
merch for Rise of Skywalker. So fucked up. There's like so many things they could have made cool merch of, and there was one drop at the start, and they never wound up following things up with it.
And they just fucking hit the ejector burner. Like, all right, we're done with this trilogy. Let's move on.
Pretty much.
We're gonna just roll out some other shit and hopefully fix this thing down the road. So Sienna thought as soon as she saw them, she goes, Dad, Baby Yoda's gonna eat those guys. She was terrified. And then when he started hugging, I'm like, oh shit, she's right. He's gonna eat these motherfuckers. Bad Baby. One of my favorite things. I hope that becomes a meme down the road because that was all time. The voices worked, everything worked with them. So I'm happy my guy Bob has some Fricks in his life here.
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
So much better than that goddamn girl in Tatooine that I hate. What's her name with the red hair?
The girl in Tatooine with the red hair.
I don't know if she's in Tatooine. Is she Tatooine?
Oh, you're thinking of the droid smith?
Yeah.
That was a guy. Thundercat.
No. The woman that she's been with Mando a lot.
Oh, Fennec Shand?
No.
Who are you talking about?
The girl with like the curly hair.
Oh, Amy Sedaris? Paley Moto?
Yes.
I
I don't like her. Remember, I'm not a big fan of her. I just think she's a little like above her britches. I'm not a huge fan of her. So
all right.
I'm personally,
I'm indifferent on her.
I'd rather have the Fricks. I feel like this could have been one of her storylines at one point.
Yes.
I'd rather have the Fricks be involved than her be involved.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Pelimoto.
Very indifferent on Pelimoto. She's fine. I think she'll appear this season. I'm okay with her, but yeah, she'll definitely appear this season because she had R5 last.
Yeah, she is more of like it's a brown hair. I feel like there's a little bit of auburn in there. I don't want people nitpicking me too much.
I did think it was brown. Yeah,
it might be brown. I just did not like her, and I remember saying during the episodes, I'm like, I just don't like this lady. She just the way she talks just bothers me.
So Mando takes off, and he's flanked by Vane, one of the pirates, and a couple of his pirate buddies. They get into a little dogfight, which then becomes Mando like flanking them tactically and taking them out strategically, almost stealth-like with his N1 starfighter. And it's almost like Black Panther, Batman-like, where you don't see him, and then all of a sudden he took you out, and then they're like, where is he? He's looking all over for him. But then he's led straight to the giant ship of Gorian Shard, the lead pirate, who looks like if Swamp Thing was a guy, if Swamp Thing was a person. Great design. You could tell there's a lot of practical stuff going on with him. You could see the leaves moving and everything. And he threatens Mando, but Mando's like, hey, Grogu, check this shit out. Never trust a pirate. Clicks one button, hyperspace, right the fuck out of there. Once again, establishing, which we found out in the Book of Boba Fett, the N1 Starfighter, not to be fucked with. Pretty fast ship.
Awesome ship. That whole asteroid scene, I loved, like the fact that they were high. He was able to hide, just go out, boom, just knock them out one by one, which is like has to be horrifying if you're like that. You could even tell like they were just kind of like, oh fuck, what the hell's going on here? So I was a real big fan of that whole scene. And again, I feel like the Starship getting a little bit more love now that it's in a franchise that is a little more loved than the prequels are. So I loved all that. I also loved how these pirates look like pirates. They're space pirates, but they're pirates nonetheless. Like if you said, what is this guy's profession, especially about the Pirate King, which again is a great name. And the dude, there was one dude who looked just like Davy Jones when he's like an octopus. So we just started watching Pirates of the Caribbean here. We're going through all the Disney movies at the Casa de Clem in the next month before Disney. And I'm talking, we're going from Pinocchio, Cinderella, Tangled, we're Moana, and then we're even going into the Pirates. We're throwing some old Marvel movies on. They're going to know every fucking Disney movie by the time we enter the parks. And Sienna has become obsessed with the Pirates movies. Wifey Clem, obsessed with the Pirates movies. So I've been seeing a lot of Pirates on the screen the last couple of weeks. And I'll tell you, these guys fucking nailed the pirate vibe. So I was very happy that even in space, they kind of, it's a little goofy, I guess, but I liked it just because I'm in pirate world right now. So the fact that there's a ride that the Resistance ride is a half hour long, right? Like
I think it's like 15, 20 minutes. I was just talking to Trent about it. Trent has been on it. And he talked to me about it. He's like, you're going to lose your mind. He's like, you don't understand. You feel like you're in the movie, like you're in Star Wars during the ride. I was like, brother, you need to stop talking because I'm getting hard in the office right now.
I was going to say you're going to need tissues. I was thinking more for the crying, but you might need tissues for your dick too. So whatever
I might.
Tissues are going to be necessary for the ride.
You wearing a diaper on the ride.
I got poor like Bob Fox just came himself on the Star Wars ride.
I can't wait. Oh my God, we're gonna have so much fun. So he lands on Kalevala, which is a Mandalorian planet. It's like a planet in the Mandalorian system, and there's a Mandalorian temple on it, the Temple of Bo-Katan. He leaves the fucking cockpit open in the rain. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, I did.
Brother, you're leaving the cockpit open. I noticed that on my second watch this morning. And he asked for her help in retaking Mandalore. Not surprising, a decent request after he found out that she had the same goal last season. But my note, Clem, is that she's being an emo, bratty, immature, preachy loser who needs to get the fuck off her soapbox. She goes, oh, the Stolen Fleet are mercenaries now. They don't care about me because I don't have the Darksaber. Why don't you give them a call? You got the Darksaber. They'll do whatever you want. She's leaning over in her chair, slumped over. She brings up the fact that Mando was in a cult again, the Children of the Watch. She brought this up the first time she met him last season. And then they kind of got over that. They did the whole mission together in Moff Gideon. Now, just because he's got the Darksaber, she's upset about that again, that he was in a cult. I've brought this up on the podcast before, and I'm bringing it up on the podcast again. She was in Death Watch, the worst Mandalorian cult, while her sister was trying to unite Mandalore. Her sister, non-violent pacifist. She was an extremist. She was burning villages of innocent people to the fucking ground with the Vizslas for no reason, just because she was, in her feelings as a teenager or whatever. Bo-Katan needs to get off her high horse when talking to Mando here. Oh, you were in a cult. You were in a cult. You were in a cult. And I didn't forget, Bo-Katan. All right. I almost woke my neighbors up at 4 a.m. making a TikTok about this last night. She's really grinding my gears, and we're about 5 minutes into her appearance on season 3.
Tell him why you mad, son. Tell him why you mad. Bob Fox fucking fired up. I will say this. Definitely a brat. Cult stuff felt a little extreme for like the 10th time. The way she was just slumped on that throne, though, she was kind of owning like.
She looked cool.
She looked cool. And that fucking planet. What's the name of the? Do you know the name of the planet?
Kalevala.
Sweet ass planet. When I go to a Star Wars planet, I'm always like, would I want to live there? And that's up there. It's like the Miami planet from Andor is 1. This is like 2 to 3. It does strike me it might be a little New Yorky where it looks nice now, but in the winter it could get a little cold there. But fucking like an outdoor throne, just great vibes. Cool. But I promise you this. I'm not going to promise it. I was going to say, I promise that I will be against Bo-Katan the entire series riding with you. But I don't know what she's going to do. That's going to, if she's like Thanos was right, then I'm going to have to become a Bo-Katan fan. But I'm riding with you, Bob. Even with the Laffy, if she says she likes banana Laffy Taffy, then you guys could go fucking have your own little cult together with that fucking nonsense. Because banana Laffy Taffy stinks.
That's crazy. That's great. And I'll tell you what, though, saltwater taffy. You go to the Jersey Shore, you go to Lucky Leo's, you get real taffy on the boardwalk. That's better. That's
2 things you have to get whenever you go to the shore. saltwater taffy and fudge. You go to the fudge store, you spend like $20 on like 4 or 5 pieces. You get like the I always like the cookies and cream, maybe a little Reese's peanut butter cup, something like that. M&M
They
for
do
the
mint
kids.
now too. I don't know if you're are you mint chocolate?
Big mint chocolate guy.
Yeah, we've
Bob.
talked about that. Okay,
Yeah,
that is the one thing we bond over. They
which
do a
is
mint
crazy because that's like a
mint
very
fudge.
divisive
Ooh,
issue.
I know, but that's good. That's really good.
I was going to ask what your bow meter was. I'm going to say 1 to 10. In terms of 10 being pure rage, 1 you like Bo-Katan again. I still think you have room. I think
I have
like
room.
you have like a 7.5 here, but I think we're going to hit 10 at some point this season.
She's only just starting to get on my nerves. I'll say that. This is only the start for me and Bo-Katan. We might have a bigger rivalry than Mando and Bo-Katan this season.
We're going to change that to a 6.5 on the bow meter.
By the way, like you said, our planet, it looked cool, looked nice. She had a very cool droid when Mando came in. At the same time, in the winters, her open fucking thing looks like MetLife Stadium. All right, ugly, disgusting.
And trust me, I'm a Giants fan. Clem? No, I don't like MetLife Stadium.
The concourse,
They completely botched it.
Huge botch job. And then she says at the end that everything about the mines of Mandalore just myths, which makes me believe it's not myths. As soon as she says that, I get the Han Solo vibes of like, oh yeah, all that hokey pokey religion, blah, blah, blah. When she said myth, I thought, do you go down there and find the mythosaur, aka the dinosaur that Boba Fett came riding in on the holiday special? I brought this up a lot on the podcast. I love me the holiday special. On the shelf behind me, I don't know if you could see it. You probably can't. Behind there is a lunchbox from Star Wars Celebration Chicago that I waited in line hours for. I'm talking like 4 or 5 hours just to get this holiday special lunchbox with the mythosaur. I'd like to see the mythosaur.
There's certain things that we touch on these podcasts where it always circles back, and the mythosaur is one of your like 3 or 4 things that always circles back to it. So I'm rooting for that. I will root for no matter what. I'll be rooting for that. Boba Fett riding a Rancor. That was one thing we were rooting
close
for, right? Now we're going to like next level. Give us the big daddy on the fucking planet or some sort of vibes from that. So I'm with you.
Him with the Darksaber on a fucking dinosaur with Grogu like in the satchel. That looks so badass. I want that as a poster.
Giancarlo Esposito was just like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
That's the other thing. Like, how's he breaking out? Who's breaking him out? Is Bo-Katan going to be a bitch and go break him out because she's mad about Mando? She wants the Darksaber. She knows he could get his help, whatever. I don't know.
So I'm starting to get worried she's going to try to hurt our baby Yoda. I'm really getting worried about that the more you talk about her.
I was talking to a friend of mine, Finney, and he was saying he thinks it's going to be like a tag team match by the end of the season. Moff Gideon, Bo-Katan versus Mando and Grogu.
Oh, I like that.
Which is a hell of a tag team match, to be honest. Like, that is, I'm down for that in the season finale.
And those 2 years with Luke better have paid off.
They really better have. And I thought, did he mature in those 2 years? Because when he sees the IG-11 statue, he does give a look where he's almost like in mourning. Like little Grogu's like, oh, I do remember that guy. He gave his life for me. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we get some version of IG-11 back. I've seen some people speculating on Twitter that Mando's just going to be able to like program IG-11 into his suit, kind of like how they program like that in Solo, the Millennium Falcon into the Millennium Falcon, whatever that fucking thing was. That would be funny though if Taika can just like be the voice on his shoulder being like, watch your back. He turns around, hits something like that. That'd be cool.
I'm happy we got our IG-11. I didn't see that coming. That was one part that when I saw the statue, I definitely didn't think it was coming. So that made me happy. I have to ask you this. This is a take I had. The theme song for Mandalorian is a top 3 part of the show. Baby Yoda's number 1. The theme song, which they chopped up in a bunch of different ways, I felt in this episode, right?
Yeah.
And then every time, obviously, you hear the main theme, it just gets you hyped. And then whatever else you want to say, Pedro Pascal, the armor, the weapons,
I think you're right.
If
you extend it to the music, which this season is notably not done by Ludwig Göransson. This season is done by, I wish I had the person's name, the person that did Book of Boba Fett, which was also a very good scored season in general. They're using Ludwig's original themes, of course, the theme for Baby Yoda, the theme for The Mandalorian. All the themes that he made for the show are still in the show, but it is a new person composing the score, which gives me hope because I thought it was unnoticeable in this episode that it was like, there was a change made between season 2 and 3. Gives me hope because originally I remember one of the first things we said is, how can you do Star Wars without John Williams? Like, it won't feel like Star Wars without him. And I think if you go back and listen to our recap of The Mandalorian episode 1, I think the both of us didn't love the music. We were like, we don't know how to feel about the music yet. Didn't feel like Star Wars. And now here we are, and it couldn't feel more like Star Wars. Every time we hear it, dun dun, that's like, all right, we're back in the galaxy far, far away. So it's just a matter of warming up to it. And like you said, the music is one of the best parts of this show. I think it's one of the best parts of Book of Boba Fett. I think it was one of the best parts of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even in a show where people didn't love that, the music never really missed.
Yeah, I can't think of. There's a lot of things I think of about those shows that I didn't like, but it was never the music. It was usually something character driven or
Or
a
actually
story
thinking
thing that
back,
kind
I
of
feel
fell
like
out.
Kenobi, maybe people did complain about the music because I remember there being videos where people put prequel music into the final battle and it was
Oh
better.
yeah, it definitely raised the
Now
stakes.
that
I
I think
remember that
about it.
too.
Yeah.
All right,
All
don't.
right.
Hey,
All right.
new music guy, don't fuck this up. If you fuck this up, we're gonna give Rick, the writer, the keys to the music part of this as well because he did a
Just
pretty
have
good
him
job.
do all the music.
Yeah, fuck it. He
By
writes
himself.
right. If he writes stories, he could write music.
Like you said, though, I love when they kind of remix the theme. My favorite one being the season 2 premiere. One of the best episodes, one of the best pieces of Star Wars ever with Cobb Vanth, where he goes into that town to meet him. There's an acoustic guitar version of the theme that plays as soon as he rides into, I forget what the town, Mos Espa? No, that was a different one. Whatever it was, he rides in. And there's just an acoustic guitar. It's like a slow motion scene. You see people in the town, very Western vibe. Fucking love it. It's amazing. This is an amazing show. It's an amazing time to have it back in our lives with Pedro Pascal doing The Last of Us. As we said, if you're listening on the podcast feed, we'll throw over to our recap of this week's episode of The Last of Us. But if you've been watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. We got to come up with a hashtag for the YouTube people. Do you have one?
Bad baby.
Bad baby. That's it. That's it. Oh my God. No brainer. That was a no brainer. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Bad baby. All right. If you're listening on the podcast feed, stay tuned for the Last of Us recap. And if you're watching on YouTube, we will see you next week for another Mandalorian recap, possibly with an even bigger gang because we'll be in Disney.
That's awesome.